Welcome to episode 231 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsberg, and I have a couple great guests this week, including Patrice. Patrice is back on the show. How you doing, Patrice?
Yay! I'm doing good. It is Christmas market season here. We did the first Christmas market on, was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. We're going to another one tomorrow. So we have the plan that every weekend till Christmas, we're going to a different Christmas market.
Oh, wow.
So in Austria, it's not that many. No, well, it's a lot of them, but we only have a couple of weekends.
That's fun. They also have, I think they have the Kris Kringle market here. That's very popular. Mm-hmm. They just opened a third one that's near where the Cubs play, nice. Wrigley Field in Gallagher Way, and then plus they have it downtown and out in the suburbs too. So those are interesting things.
I know of a couple German Christmas markets in the US. I mean, in Texas there's a couple. Yeah. I think up where, like in Iowa and so on, there's a couple. Yeah, so
they're fun.
It's not unusual.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, they're fun.
And Jeff Gamet is back on the show as always. Great to have you, Jeff. How you doing?
As always, it's great to be here and getting to hang out with both of you today. Doubly so. It's just awesome.
Awesome. and we can possibly get another guest here momentarily, but I'll leave that as a tease, and we'll just keep going on here and start the show here. As we can expect after the holidays in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving to those in the U.S., and the news is light. Let's put it that way. But we got a lot of great topics here to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and just jump right in here. And we had talked about this on the Mac show, but I had to just put it in here anyway because I think it's crazy that Apple has reportedly expressed interest in buying the UK soccer team, Manchester United. And I guess there are at least two sports sources that are reporting that Apple has, quote-unquote, expressed interest in buying the soccer team. The club is up for sale by its present owner, with a number of other parties, of course, are probably going to be interested. I'm sure a few are. But I don't even think they need to have to go through this much more other than where we would get expressed interest. And I did see some tweets that potentially Tim Cook was interested in Apple buying it, not Tim Cook buying it himself, but a lot of other things. What do you think, Patrice?
I mean, I don't think Tim Cook is the type of person who would ever buy or own a sports club, even with Apple as a company. Yeah. I can totally see that some other high level, senior level manager at Apple just personally had an interest and said, hey, maybe that might be something that we could do, like with Ted Lasso and their foray into sports streaming and all of that. But beyond that, I don't think it went much further than someone just saying, I don't know. There was probably a meeting. They were all drunk somewhere, and they said, "Oh, we should buy a sports team." That level.
And someone heard it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think it didn't go very far beyond that.
Yeah, right, Jeff. This is just crazy.
It's crazy. Patrice, I love the idea of a bunch of Apple C-suite people hanging around, having a few drinks, and someone saying, "Wouldn't it be funny if we bought football team?" And they were like, yeah, and then off they went to the next drink, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, they have enough money; they can do whatever they want. So.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. This is, however, outside of Apple's purview. I mean, granted, they're not just a hardware company anymore; they're software and an entertainment company as well, a services company. However, going out and buying a football team seems like that's kind of a stretch. Even if you wanted to use it as a tie-in to Ted Lasso, I mean, that would be a big expense to take on just for the last season of the show, when you can't even incorporate the purchase into the show in some way.
Yeah, sadly, that is going to be the last season of Ted Lasso, but who knows? Things have changed. You don't know what's going to happen. But yeah.
I was just wondering, what would they rename the team to? Would it be Cook United or Tim Manchester? I don't know.
Yeah. I think people were just kind of coinciding it with the fact that Apple did sign a big long-term contract with in the United States with the MLS League, that they're going to be exclusive, provider through Apple TV Plus, and maybe that kind of sparked their fun, I would think.
I think people are desperate for news right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then there's that.
And so there you go.
Then there's that. Next story, Apple pivots to Samsung for iPhone memory chips following the U.S. trade ban against Chinese suppliers. Apple will turn to Samsung for memory used in iPhones ahead of the imposition of the U.S. export controls on one of China's top NAND flash chip makers, that's according to reports. Apple originally intended to buy 128-layer 3D NAND flash chips from Yadxing Memory Technologies for use in iPhones sold in the Chinese market as early as this year, but with the possibility of eventually purchasing up to 40% of them for all iPhones. So, however, though that got put on hold, and then there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on with China and iPhone and Apple right now, especially the fact we can't get an iPhone 14 Pros and Pro Maxes, we talked about last week. Yeah, this is definitely interesting to see how Apple has to turn back to Samsung to get chips. What don't you think, Jeff?
On one hand, it's interesting. On the other hand, hey, this is just business. Yeah. Apple goes where they can get the parts that they need, and Samsung has been historically a reliable supplier, relatively speaking, and so. If they need to pivot away from one supplier because of regulations or political restrictions or whatever it is, they're going to go where they can get the stuff. Yeah. And that's Samsung. So there you go.
And this wasn't even a political restriction. This is simply an existing rule that's in place. If a company cannot be inspected and cannot provide necessary information within 60 days, it simply gets put on the unverified list, and that prohibits US companies from sharing any kind of design, technology, anything with them. And that makes it really hard for Apple to do business with them.
Yep, that would do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Samsung is so big. Samsung, it's hard to even grasp how big Samsung is. They do anything. It's not just the phones. They do literally anything. They have separate parts of the company that could be their own companies, and are for all intents and purposes. I think, as far as I've heard, the manufacturing, the chip side of things is its own company in Samsung. It has nothing to do with the phone business, other than that it also supplies to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it makes no difference. For Samsung, they don't care. It's okay, we get money from Apple, we get more money.
Yep.
Where's the problem?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, it's been a great show this week. So glad you could all join us. Oh, Kelly.
Yes. Thanks. Surprise guest here, as we mentioned earlier, Kelly Guman is now joining us. How you doing, Kelly? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. We're just in the midst of news here. I'm glad you could jump in and provide some of your insights. What's going on in the world of Apple at the moment? Not much really, but we're gonna plug on here and go ahead and move on to the next story here. This story was interesting. The SwiftKey was unexpectedly back on iOS, and SwiftKey fans can rejoice. The keyboard is on your iPhone once again. Microsoft's SwiftKey keyboard was unexpectedly returned to the App Store, and the company had officially discontinued support for the keyboard and removed it from the App Store in October, but now it's available for iOS users once again. I guess based on customer feedback, it had been relisted in the Apple App Store, and Microsoft said in a statement to The Verge, please support SwiftKey.com for more information. Despite its return, the SwiftKey latest update is still from August 11th, so it's 2021, so it's unclear when it's going to be updated. So I don't even know if I would want to use it for something that old. Kelly, since you're here, what do you think? Have you ever used SwiftKey before?
I used it briefly before the swipe functionality was built in to iOS. I tried that one, and there's another one that I can't remember that did a similar thing. And it wasn't bad. Like, I don't use the swipe feature a ton, even when it was a thing that a lot of people were getting into, as it started to be something that you could install on iOS. I have tried it, and it's a thing that I can use, but I still have a lot of muscle memory of 2 thumbs.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get better about if I'm only able to use one hand, or it would be a giant pain to have to try and get both thumbs occupied. Just trying to use the swipe a little bit more. So I might be more excited about this if I was more into the swipe method of input. But for right now, I'm glad it's back, because I always like when there are more options, and I know a lot of people really liked the Microsoft iteration of this. So
absolutely. Patrice, have you used the Swift key before?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think it's how like my brain works. I don't like swiping. I like just typing. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. I'm guessing that one developer who was still developing it said, "Okay, I'll continue working on it," and Microsoft said, "Okay, fine, we'll just keep it."
Absolutely. Jeff, are you a Swift key user, or any of those types of keyboards?
I was at one point, excuse me, and I liked Swift key, but not for the swiping part. There were some other things that it did that I really liked, and then at some point I did like a reinstall of everything on my phone and didn't reinstall any third-party keyboards. And after a while, I realized, I forgot to do that. But since it's been so long, it probably is a sign that I don't need to reinstall any third-party keyboards. But like Kelly, I like that it's back, and for the same reason, give people options. Also, if there are third-party keyboards out there that are doing really good things, then it pushes Apple to improve their own keyboard.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on, Apple, or I should say iCloud for Windows users complain of corrupt videos, photos from strangers showing up in their iCloud. Apple iCloud for Windows software appears to have experienced serious issues for some users, with complaints across the message boards here on Mac Rumors about corrupt videos and images from strangers appearing in their photo libraries. There's a handful of complaints that customers that have been running into these complications with their iPhone 13 Pro and their iPhone 14 Pro models. Videos recorded on an iPhone and then traced with iCloud for Windows are turning black with scan lines, rendering the videos unwatchable. More worrying is some users are seeing strange videos, photos and videos that do not belong to them and appear in their libraries when they're attempting to watch this. Yeah, this is some kind of creepy and weird stuff that's going on for the Windows crowd out there. And Kelly, what do you think on this?
I feel like there has to be more to the story than it sucks on Windows somehow. Like people, like somebody signed into another device they forgot about, and like the kids are taking weird pictures with the iPad, from 2 devices ago or something, and they're showing up in their photo stream or something. I feel like the explanation to this is not because it's on Windows. Yeah. Like that's the primary thing that I'm kind of hung up on. Like it might be Windows users who are noticing this more. But I feel like we haven't heard all of it yet. It's just a very odd sounding story. I mean, totally possible because we've seen bugs that have caused things, much weirder behavior than what's being described here. But I feel like there's something else going on here, and it's, an unintentional sign in on an old device, or, this is also happening to Apple users, but maybe they're not noticing it as much because of, there's a lot more photos to look at. So you're not seeing, I only have a small number of photos and I know that one's not mine or something. I don't know. But
I think if it was happening on Apple's side, I think we would have heard. Simply because there is probably more Apple users or more iPhone users that are using iCloud than there's probably iCloud on Windows users.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would assume if this was a problem, even for a small percentage, we would have heard, because that would have been quite a large number of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have a feeling. I mean, I wouldn't blame necessarily Windows. It might simply be, I mean, Apple doesn't have the best track record for like Windows software.
No, they don't.
Oh, no.
So there's always possible that something in their app or something in the communication with the app and their backend, something is wrong there, and it's only happening there.
Yeah, I agree.
I 100% am not defending the Windows experience of trying to use anything from Apple. Please don't misinterpret.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not as good. Part of why last time I was here, we talked about the upgrades to iCloud.com if you're logging in a web browser, and how that's gotten a lot better. And part of the reason I think that is a wonderful thing is because there are people who use iCloud on Windows, and this is probably the better way to go. So I feel like it's still not going to be a great experience, but I do feel like there's more to this story. It's hard on Windows. I mean, it really is. So yeah.
This, by the way, I saw there's a really funny comment in the Mac Rumors article. Someone said they must be trying out the Pied Piper algorithm. I'm like, okay, good one.
Yeah, that was good. Jeff, you must have thoughts.
Sit there.
Okay, so
he doesn't. He heard Windows and tuned out.
Yeah, I've been watching YouTube videos. Okay, we have a really weird confluence of things here. It's Windows. And so right there, it's like, oh, well, Apple doing something for Windows. There you go. But also, it's iPhone 13 and 14 owners on Windows.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? So there's a team of people at Apple that have skipped their holiday weekend as they sit there and try and figure out what is the magic mix between all of these parameters that we have that's causing this specific problem. And
those 15 people.
Yeah. And because part of the problem is you have photos and videos that are corrupted in your library. And when you click on those, that's when you see other people's content. So put all those pieces together and somehow it gives you the answer. But holy crap, what's the answer to that?
It's a conspiracy, Jeff.
It is.
Someone is sending Windows user subliminal messages. That's what's happening. Right?
Yeah. It goes back to the old commercial. Should have bought a Mac.
Yeah. And no surprise, there's been no comment from Apple about this. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, they don't know what to say about it properly.
Yeah. I mean, when your official stance at this point is, wow, that's a bummer. Like, maybe don't say anything yet.
I don't know. They could say, we have heard reports and we are looking into it.
True.
Yeah. Next story here. Apple Music app was spotted in a Tesla Model S museum exhibit. Apple could be coming to the Tesla vehicles through a future software update, giving Tesla customers the ability to use Apple Music in the vehicle's built-in system. At a recent exhibit for Tesla at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, someone on Twitter spotted a Model S vehicle running an unreleased version of software that had Apple Music installed. According to the images shared, the user will be able to scan a QR code on their phone to log into Apple Music and use the app. Apple Music has been teased to be coming to Apple Tesla vehicles in the past, but only now maybe beginning to happen here. This has been a long-standing request from Tesla customers to have Apple Music as an access point. Who knows? Elon Musk is too busy with Twitter right now that maybe things are going to start happening here, right, Patrice?
Yes. Yeah, and he's not micromanaging Tesla. Work actually gets done. And I mean, from Apple's perspective, they just want to be everywhere with Apple Music.
Apple TV too.
So, which makes sense. And Apple TV, that's true. I mean, I think if they can get Apple TV on Tesla, which, I mean, you can, I think Netflix is already on there. So maybe they're doing that too. Sure, like they'll do that.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff?
I think anything that involves Tesla is straight up crapshoot.
Yeah. That's all right.
That's an accurate stance. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kinda where I'm at. Like, who can say,
Yeah. I'm sure that there are developers in Tesla that have been thinking, we can make this happen. The APIs are there. And let's just see how it works. And there you go. And whether or not it gets signed off as a feature that gets added in to a software update.
I mean, they might ship it, and then it might be gone for 3 days, or after 3 days, and then it might be back the day after, and then it might be, we're going to postpone it for 90 days. Like, for all we know, like, that's what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and then we end up with Elon doing a Twitter poll.
Yeah.
It gives me strong now it's 5, but it used to be 3G MacBook vibes as far as the story goes. Like, I'm sure that is a thing that exists. Somebody sat down and went, we can totally put a cellular radio into one of our laptops. Let's try it and see what happens. I'm 100% convinced that there's a proof of concept out there somewhere, and that it probably, and maybe it got distributed in some way that somebody who shouldn't have seen it saw it. But yeah, I absolutely believe it's a thing that exists there. Whether or not it gets rolled out to the mere mortals who have Teslas among us, who could say? Yeah,
so true.
It's I'm with Jeff. It's a complete dice roll. Like, even if you get it, there's no guarantee that it will stay. So
yeah. Yep. Well, we'll see what happens, as I say. Next story: Apple TV Plus is closing movie gap with rotating back catalog for subscribers. When Apple introduced Apple TV Plus, the company promoted it as a streaming platform focused on original movies and TV shows. However, Apple now seems to be shifting its strategy with Apple TV Plus, as the platform now has a back catalog for the first time. Back in September, record this, the company added 5 classic Sidney Poitier films to Apple TV Plus to celebrate the premiere of the original Apple documentary by Sidney. Earlier this month, the company promoted a similar action by launching a collection of Jennifer Lawrence movies on Apple TV Plus for a limited time, as the actress stars in the Apple original movie Causeway. Now, this has been noted by Tech Radar, actually. Apple TV Plus is quietly expanding its back catalog in the U.S. with a number of licensed movies not owned by the company. For instance, some subscribers will find third-party movies available as suggested bonuses when exploring Spirited, Mythic Quest, and Causeway. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where this goes. And I did notice that as of late, there's been some movies that are not Apple's, but they're getting rights to the back catalog. What do you think, Patrice?
I mean, did we have any doubts that Apple would do that? No. I mean, they even have acquired back catalogs. I don't remember what show that was, but there was one show very much within the first year where they
did that with Fraggle Rock.
Oh yeah, Fraggle Rock. That was the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, where they acquired the back catalog and the rights to produce new content. So I mean, any streaming service these days, they cannot survive on new content, because new content is very expensive, very hard to produce, takes time simply, and in the meantime, people will just cancel the subscription because they're like, okay, there's nothing doing here. Like, why would I come back? Or there's only one show or 2 shows I want to watch. Why would I pay for it? Yeah. And then they might not come back because they've forgotten about it already. Because there's Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Paramount and all of the others and Disney that have a big back catalog. So Apple has to do this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Simple as that.
Kelly?
It's been hard, I guess, but they're doing it.
They're doing it. Yeah. Kelly, what do you think?
Well, I was noticing the other day because I was looking for something that I wanted to watch. I can't remember, and maybe it was Acapulco, which is a great show that I cannot be quiet about because it's so good, and I feel like everybody is sleeping on it, and it's just it's so wonderful, and it really is. But yeah, that's another podcast. I just went and looked because I was curious. there's a little panel, there's a little strip across the middle of the TV app that says included with Apple TV Plus. And, they did the Jennifer Lawrence one, they did Sidney Poitier. And right now, as of a week ago, there's a movie with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. Right. That's a Scrooge retelling. And so now you can watch Old School and Anchorman free with TV Plus. I think there's a couple others, but I also saw Office Space is in there and Clerks is in there. Tommy Boy is in there. Ugh, so it's definitely time to go back to Tommy Boy and Office Space. I think
that's a blast in the past.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Office Space is great for a bunch of reasons. If you watch it and it's a documentary, then you need to update your resume. Just saying.
That's right.
This is a yardstick I have used to measure for a long time. If you can still laugh at it, then you're okay. Yeah. If not, maybe it's time to get a new job.
The new show is, by the way, the new movie is called Spirited.
Spirited, that's it.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So I'm glad they're doing it. My first question immediately, for a long time, but even once we got TV Plus as a reality and not just as an announcement, was then what? Okay, I've watched the morning show. I watched Mythic Quest. Then what? Right. And they've done a lot to mitigate that, I guess. The thing I keep reminding people is that the current winner of Best Picture at the Academy Awards is only available on Apple TV Plus. That's it's all high quality. People's assessment of Clerks and Tommy Boy and Office Space is maybe is an exercise for the listener. But the stuff that they're making is all really high quality. I advocated ages ago that they should be snapping up a back catalog here and there just to help kind of keep people there in between the new release of the second season of something or, something that comes out that hasn't really taken off yet, so that people are less inclined to cancel. I can watch James Bond movies in the meantime. I can watch Harry Potter movies in the meantime, things like that. I just saw that Andor is available on something that Hulu, maybe that is not Disney Plus.
I think they released a couple episodes.
But it's you can watch a Star Wars and you don't need Disney Plus to do it, was kind of notable to me. So it's interesting to watch how some of these moves are happening as people realize, if I subscribe to all the services I want, I'm paying more than I paid for cable, and the whole point was to save money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering how this is going to continue to play out. I hope that this isn't temporary agreements that we do get. I mean, this, I think, said that they were limited time bonuses or something that you can watch. So I hope that they do end up being able to make some sort of deal where something is permanently there for folks. Right now, Charlie Brown and Fraggle Rock, I think, are the two that are there, because you can still watch Charlie Brown Thanksgiving for another couple days. And I think so it would be nice if there were something that did end up being permanent, so that you can sort of point to, these things are here, these things are there, these things are and these things are on TV Plus. So I hope that's what happens.
I mean, how permanent they are might depend. It's not in some cases not even in Apple's hands. I mean, if they bought the content, sure, that's permanent. But if they license it, I mean, that's going to run out at some point.
Licensing agreements change all the time, but something that you can pretty reliably point at, So it'd be nice.
What do you think, Jeff?
I have a hypothesis.
I was hoping you did.
Okay.
Okay, here's my hypothesis. Apple is currently using back catalog content as a marketing tool. And that's why when Apple has a new property that comes out and then you get these related pieces, it's all part of that marketing thing. Mm-hmm. And like when you look at Spirited right now, which, by the way, is so much fun. Yes, I am absolutely a sucker for musicals.
Me too.
This one does not disappoint.
I'm a sucker for Ryan Reynolds, so I was watching it one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
me too.
Yeah, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But look at the content that's come out as part of this limited time availability, and except for like Clerks and Office Space, which I don't know how
I
don't know
can't
how
draw
they
the
work.
line for those.
It's just like, we've got this deal for this content and we can get these things to, whatever, let's roll it in.
Yeah.
But I think that's Apple's plan for now. This is all promotional stuff. Over time that can change, and Apple may build up a more permanent back catalog. But for now, let's enjoy what we can get when we can get it, and it's ephemeral and okay.
And I could see Apple even making them free to watch, like for not subscribers, for whatever, Christmas, for example, and say, okay, between the 26th and the 31st, you could just watch everything.
Yeah.
Like and we have those movies that you love.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, let's move on.
I didn't know Tommy Boy was on there, and now I know what I'm doing.
Tommy Boy. All right, let's move on to some of the topics we have for this week. Beta iOS 16.2 and iPadOS 16.2 Beta 3 still continues, so really not much to talk about. We reviewed that last week if you want to find out more about that. But unless anybody has any...
talk about the...
Go ahead.
Sorry, did you talk about the security update that the beta customers got?
Yes, I did. We did last week. Yeah, that was really
last week.
Yeah, that was out of the ordinary. Yeah, in episode 230, we did talk about that. Yeah, it was a little strange.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have any thoughts on that? We can talk about that real quick.
Oh no, I was just wondering about it because that was definitely notable that we got like an empty security
update. Right? They're just what? Oh my God! Everyone's going to panic and
just making sure you're paying attention.
This is what we're going to be doing in the future. Just carry on. So I want to talk a little bit about the Apple One bundle. We haven't talked about that in quite a while, and still want to have a bit of a discussion about is it worth it? Is it worth it to get the bundle? Should you subscribe? There's been all kinds of questions whether or not is it actually worth it or not. The pricing, of course, just did go up a little while ago. Excuse me, and I think it's something that. People should explore because it is something that really gives you a lot of great deals. 3 different plans. I subscribe to the Premier bundle and it's now up to $32.95 US a month. But you get all the products from Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and then you get 2 terabytes of iCloud storage and News Plus and Fitness Plus. So it's quite a package. It's definitely something to think about. Patrice, do they have it available in your neck of the woods? To have bundles?
I don't think they have it yet. I might be wrong. I have a US account still, so I definitely have it. I think they might. I think they have something. But it's not the same bundle definitely because some services like I think News Plus, for example, is not available here at all. I think Fitness Plus just came. But I'm using 4 out of 6 services, so it's totally worth it. I'm a massive fan of Fitness Plus. I think it's one of the more undervalued services that Apple has and Apple offers, and the content is really, really good. And I really enjoy the yoga and the dance exercises and high interval training and all of that. Apple News. Apple News doesn't work very well here. Even though I have it, half of the stuff because it's bouncing me to the website and the website doesn't work from here. Yeah, I get that. And I mean, Arcade, I'm like, what is that for? I mean, I'm not a gamer, so maybe for other people it's fine, but I'm like, what is that for?
Not for everybody. I know, Kelly, you and I've talked about this a number of times. You've been debating whether or not to go bundle or you just keep in standalone services.
Yeah.
You still in that boat, staying standalone?
Right now, but the conversation's going to accelerate because I normally will get gift cards for Christmas, and then I will apply those gift cards to my Apple Music balance. So, after a fashion, my Apple Music subscription every year is free because I pay for it in January with gift cards. And so, it never comes out of my bank account, but I do the 1 year all at once in January. So, but it would really be nice if I could get Mr. Kelly on the plan as well. It just kind of hurts my feelings that he will sit and listen to Pandora and all the commercials all the time.
Oh, painful.
So I'm just like, no, honey. And you can only skip like so many times an hour, you know. And I'm like, but I know you don't like that song. Why are you listening to it? Well, I'm out of skips, you know. So this is where we ended up. No, honey. Because like I think there are a lot of features that get undervalued in Apple Music, like artist radio. Like I just want to sit and listen to the Pet Shop Boys for the rest of the afternoon. Can I just do that? And yes, as a matter of fact, you can. And things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's not hypothetical. It's a thing I've actually done. I do it a bunch because I love the Pet Shop Boys. But there are a lot of options like that. You can, you know, I can put on VNV Nation Artist Radio and just listen to a bunch of their songs, and it's not like Pandora, okay, or Spotify. We're gonna give you 4 songs by that artist, and now we're gonna wander off into other stuff that the algorithm has decided is related. You know, I think it was a Spotify station where it was all film scores, and then I added Daft Punk from the Tron soundtrack, and now every once in a while it wanders off into weird electronica nonsense. I'm like, no, that's not a movie.
Need some craft work.
No, Spotify, that's a bad Spotify. And, you know, and I have to like teach it all over again, and it's really frustrating. So that's one of the things that I really like about Apple Music. So I'm hoping, because I pay for that separately and I pay for Fitness Plus separately, because I too love Fitness Plus, and I love it for you can be as involved as you want. If you want to do the 30-minute really sweaty dance workout, go for it. If you want to do a 5-minute, I'm going to do a little stretch because I've been sitting at my desk too long, you can do that too. And it's super great, and it's on all your screens now, and you know, it just makes it even easier to spend a minute you know, moving a little, and whatever that level of intensity is for you, you know, you've got it. So I really like that about it. And I like you, Patrice, I don't think it gets the attention it deserves.
Yeah, great.
So I'm still trying to sort out what will make the most sense at my house for doing this. It might make more sense to, you know, for an extra $30 a year over what I pay right now, you know, we can both have Apple Music, and I can still have Fitness Plus, and, you know, probably bump up to more iCloud storage or something, you know, and that would be great. So I'm trying to figure out how that's actually going to break down. And like Patrice, I'm not a gamer. I did try Apple Arcade and didn't find anything that really grabbed me. You know, some of the, like, I'm a sucker for a matching game, but there are lots of those that are not part of Apple Arcade that I can play. So, if I went to the bundle, I would get a chance to play the new version of Forensic, which would make me very happy. But that's like the only thing there that I know would be a thing that I would be really excited to play. So
Monument Valley was the one that I tried. But
yeah, Monument Valley is really
love Monument Valley.
I do love Monument Valley. But I have a Nintendo Switch, so if I have time to sit down and play a game, that's generally how I'm going to do it.
Although for Jeff's cake, they just announced. I think I got the email about it. The SpongeBob SquarePants Solitaire Pants is now out.
Oh, well, I'll go install that.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep.
So
actually have some pants around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
what do you
the
think?
thing for me is when someone says, "Is it worth it to pay for Apple One?" Well, there's not a blanket answer for that. Run the numbers and see how the numbers pan out for you. Mm-hmm. And like for me, I ran the numbers, and it costs exactly the same to get what I want with Apple One, except that with Apple One, it includes Apple Arcade. Mm-hmm. So why not do the bundle? Pay the exact same price, have an extra service, and I do have stuff installed on my Apple TV from Apple Arcade, and occasionally on my iPhone or iPad as well. Okay, so instead of just being a wash for me, I have the bonus of some extra video games when I want them. Run the numbers, then decide if it's good for you.
If it's within $1 or $2, I would still get it. Simply because the peace of mind that, okay, you just have everything is worth that, whatever, $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if you look across the pricing, if you measure it out with all the services, I mean, obviously the Premier has the most choices as far as what's out there, including iCloud Plus, which we hadn't talked about. Which has got two, each plan goes from 50 gig, 200 gig, then 2 terabytes. And the family plan works really well for my family because everybody's now sharing their iCloud and saving a lot of money. And News Plus is very good here. We got a lot of great content on News Plus. So it really $26 if you average it in the US for the pricing differences if you were to get each one of those individually. And then it goes down.
And you get it for 5 people.
And 5 people.
So if you have a family or a husband like Kelly, you get it for everybody in your Apple family, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I have it for my wife and her family, and we're all sharing it. So we benefit from it. So, like you said, you just do the math. It's very simple. Yeah. You have an individual plan, you get music, TV Plus, arcade, and iCloud Plus with 50 gigabytes just for yourself. Yeah. You're saving $7 a month for just those 4 services alone.
That adds up.
It does add up. So,
right. And zoom out, because it's always a good time. It's always good to review those subscriptions in general anyway.
Right.
So there are things that you can do. Maybe to adjust some of that anyway. Like, wait, am I still paying for Apple Arcade? I haven't played a game on Apple Arcade in 6 months. I should cancel that or whatever, and sit down and look at what commitments you have now. And maybe it's time to adjust them. Maybe it's time to adjust them up to Apple One. Maybe it's time to adjust them down to just the iCloud storage, if that's the only thing you use or something, and figure it out, because now is also a good time to put gift cards on your wish list, or get deals on things from Costco. I think we talked about, with the price increase coming to TV Plus, you can still get, I think it's a $45 a year subscription gift card at Costco for.
They have adjusted it. Plus, I think we talked about that before. They did adjust it.
Yeah. So there's some options out there, and now's a good time to put something like that on your list, and maybe not have to pay for it next year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, you said you are doing the bundle?
Yes, I'm doing the individual bundle.
Okay.
And I'm paying for additional iCloud storage, which is a thing you can do with the bundles.
That's a great thing too.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like I want to say like $18, $19 a month, which and I get Apple Arcade essentially for free because it's the same price individually or as the bundle.
Absolutely. Yeah. So go ahead, check links in the show notes. We got a link to the Apple One site with Apple, and then we also had a fun article here on Wired Magazine about should you subscribe. It's a little old, but the information is still current since the pricing did change. So check that out, and just shop, and you'll be happy you did, because you'll be saving lots of money in the long run. Next topic here is the AirPods. AirPods have improved their latency as of late. We came across an article here from 9to5Mac that the AirPods Pro 2 tests had revealed significant improvement in Bluetooth latency. That's been a bit of a topic for a while here, and they basically said there was new testing was performed by Stephen Coyle, a musician and software developer. He reveals another hidden benefit of the Apple AirPods Pro 2 and the H2 chip is including that significance in the latency. So one of the downsides of Bluetooth, as we talked about, has been that, and the time between the sound occurs and when the device plays it, and latency has been a bit of a challenge. And there's an actual grid in here showing all the AirPods from the AirPods 1 up to the current model here. And looks like we see some vast improvements with that. But also the other topic is that we want to talk about is the lossless support. So you kind of have both of those things going on here. And then Jeff, as you being the audio expert on our panel here, I'd like to hear your views on the Bluetooth part of it with the latency, and then of course we can wrap it up with the lossless part with this.
a lot of it comes down to your codec.
Yep.
And how efficient that is, because you do have a I know it's wireless, but you have a physical limitation in how much data you can pump through that signal.
And what's a codec?
A codec is the piece of software that has the algorithm so that you can have your audio converted between digital and analog there you go. That's the super
for people
version.
Playing along at home who may not know what you mean. I'm trying to
that was a good question.
Thank you for playing the straight man on that one.
It's a nice change.
So the improvements that you're going to get with audio quality and latency on Bluetooth today all involve how your codec works, really. Okay. And so the places where Apple and other companies can improve the performance of their wireless headphones or wireless speakers is going to be in how that codec is handled.
Yeah. There is so many factors when it comes to like getting audio from your phone to your wireless headphones. And only one part is the actual bandwidth that Bluetooth has. There's how is the codec implemented? Maybe we can make it more efficient. What is the computing power on the device? Because it's basically it has to send it over Bluetooth, and then on the other side in your AirPods or in your other Bluetooth headphones, it has to transform that into something it can actually play. And that takes computing, that takes processing power. There's a little chip in there. There's a Bluetooth chip in there. There's other chips in there. And there's a very limited space, very limited processing power, very limited battery that's available. And that also factors in. And if they can, increase the processing power or make the algorithm that does that conversion, the codec is the same, but how they implement that codec is more efficient. They can still do more things with that. So it's not always about the bandwidth that Bluetooth has.
And it's not always about the speaker either. That's the thing that you hear a lot about when people talk about headphones, wired or wireless, or speakers or anything else, is the driver or the cone material or any of these sorts of things. And all of that is great. And yes, you can get better sound by having higher quality this or higher quality that. But there's still if you're using a cable, even if it's the oldest, junkiest cable, fundamentally the throughput there is going to be better than some of the wireless options available to you. And, and AirPlay is a completely different beast as far as transmitting audio back and forth. And Bluetooth is another thing. And is it Bluetooth 5.1? Is it low energy? Is it this? Is it that? There's so many things that go into that. It's a whole other conversation to have. So seeing that this is improving is great, and I'm glad for it. I still can't edit audio on my iPad if I'm not using wired headphones, but I'm glad to see that that it is improving, and that because some of these things that Apple improves that people talk about that don't sound like they make any sense are actually quality of life improvements. They are things that are fundamentally going to make that experience better in some way, and that's the part that I'm always interested to see is because it needs to be worth upgrading. If you have a pair of AirPods Pro and the Pros don't, and you happen to have a pair of OG Pros that don't crackle, is there a compelling reason to get version 2? If you have original AirPods, is there a reason to upgrade in some way? And so, it's nice to see that there are some of these things that can make that a lot easier and a lot better experience if you're using something wireless.
Absolutely. And really, Jeff, the lossless issue too, there was that kind of, I thought that kind of went together with this, is the lack of lossless support on the AirPods Pro. Can you kind of touch a little bit on that?
The lack of lossless support, that is really, at least today, a physical limitation. And you can't get enough data through the Bluetooth signal to reliably or even enjoyably on any level play lossless audio. So you need to have that compression that goes along with the codec that you're using to get the audio over, which means that now it's lossless audio. But as Patrice and Kelly have been hitting on, there's a lot you can do with codecs because, think of it like a graphic, like a JPEG. Because it's kind of the same thing. We're talking about JPEG for sound, essentially. and the more you compress your JPEG, the lower the overall quality of the image is. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with audio. And that's why people typically don't want to listen to MP3s anymore, because there's way too much compression. Yeah. And you're clipping the highs and the lows off, no matter what you're doing. And
well, on the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, if all you're ever listening to is the speaker on your iPhone, then
you're probably not going to notice.
You're hung up on the wrong. You need to solve for a larger problem than all I have is MP3s.
Yeah. And again, like the lack of lossless. Yes, I mean Apple could probably invent a new thing and get it there, but I mean it would not be very efficient.
I feel like
the batteries would all of a sudden be whatever golf ball size on your AirPods because it needs more power to do that. Yeah. So what Apple is saying is we're kind of trying to keep the low power and the bandwidth and the codec and improve it to a point where it doesn't matter whether it's lossless or not, because you're not going to notice it anyway.
Yeah. I feel like
I think that's a great goal.
Lack of lossless feels disingenuous. It's like it's there and Apple decided not to, and that's not what it is. That's like saying, that I have a lack of desire to play in the NBA. Like, no, there are a whole bunch of reasons why that's never going to happen. And, and none of them it could happen, but I've decided that's not the case. That's no, sweetie, no.
But now why the AirPods Max? Weird. Sorry, but now why the AirPods Max have no lossless over the cable? That is a different question.
That's a very different thing to solve.
That's a very valid question. And it's one of the things that, even though I keep looking at AirPods Max thinking I'd like to have a pair, well, at the same time, why? Because I can't plug in a wire and now have lossless audio.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. And that's not to say that they're not, that the AirPods Max aren't awesome, that the Pros aren't awesome, that the OG AirPods, if you're not one for a seal on your ear, but you want them to sit in your ear, like they're all really solid headphones. The practical experience with them is great. If you have more than one device, that experience is even better in a lot of ways because it just switches from one to the other and it's seamless and it's awesome. Most of the time, I have to asterisk everything because we were talking about technology, but it's fundamentally a great experience. And spatial audio is a complete trip. Even if it's not lossless, like just sitting and watching something on my iPad with my headphones in and I turn my head and it still sounds like it's coming from my iPad, even though I'm not connected to anything, is really, really weird. And it's really awesome. And it still messes with me a little bit because it's headphones and that's not how it works, but that's how it works. So that's the thing, like asking about the Max is a very different question than the Pros. And I think sometimes some of those details get lost in this stuff, like, oh, Apple sucks because they're not putting lossless audio on their headphones. Well, no, it's not like they could and haven't, eventually I'm certain eventually it's going to turn into, basically Retina display for your ears, to go back to using graphic metaphors for graphics metaphors for audio stuff, where it's going to get to the point where your eyes, your ears aren't going to be able to tell the difference between what Apple's pumping into AirPods and the lossless audio situation that you think you needed. Again, if you're only ever listening on your iPhone speaker and you're complaining about sound quality in MP3s, you need to solve for a different issue. But, there's a lot, I think, that it could continue to improve here. And this is kind of the opposite of the Microsoft thing at the beginning, where Jeff and I were both like, yay, competition, it will make Apple better. I sort of like the idea that Apple is kind of kicking in the door of like, audio can be wireless and also awesome. Yeah. And the other people are going to have to keep up. And I applaud those efforts.
All right. One other thing we have to throw into the mix. We've been talking about everything about the codec. And the one thing that we haven't addressed is Apple has a physical limitation built into their devices, and it's the DAC, the digital to audio converter.
I know that one.
That actually doesn't support the highest quality audio that Apple can offer you, which is why I have a Shitmodi 3 sitting on my desk right now. Dave, your Audio Engine D1.
D1.
I have one of those sitting off over here. I have an iFi DAC sitting off over here as well. I have several DACs sitting in here. And the reason I have all of these is because when I want to listen to my high quality audio, I can't listen to it with the hardware that Apple provides. I need to have an external DAC to take over that audio to give me the higher bit rate that you need to get that higher quality audio.
Jeff, you have all your DACs in a row.
Oh my God. I have my audio DACs in a row.
Well done, Patrice.
I do.
Well done.
I look forward to finding the social media platform where you can share a picture of all of them with that caption.
Yeah, all your DACs in a row.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that it would take only a quick Google search to find the social media networks and Reddits and other websites where I can drop that line in and everyone will get it.
All right, two more topics before we wrap things up here. I found this to be interesting. I wanted to touch upon it a little bit here. It relates to internet service providers or ISPs. The FCC is ordering that in the United States that they display labels clearly to show speeds and itemize fees. Internet service providers will have to be more transparent on what their plans are, finally. So now we have so many broadband providers around the country in the U.S. and around the world. You never know what their speeds are going to be. You don't get the what are you going to get? 15 megabit speeds? Or are you going to get 1 gigabit speeds? You don't know. It's all over the map here. So the FCC is going to require that they prominently display these labels in their main purchasing pages to disclose this. I mean, like an internet provider like Xfinity, Comcast, you always are going to know that you're only going to get 300 or 600 megabit down, and you're only going to get 15 or 20 megabit up. So that's been quite a debate for a long time. So I was just glad to see this, and I wanted to see with the panel here what their thoughts were, why the FCC chose to do this, as well as protecting consumers so you can make a better choice. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of choices in internet providers in a lot of places in the country, especially in rural areas, which are bad. So go ahead, Kelly. I'll start with you. Yeah, in your area, you really don't have many choices, I'm assuming.
As of now, I don't. It's Comcast or what's the other one that I can get here? Tin cans and string.
Yes.
That's it. So, I'm glad they're doing it, and I'm glad it's going to be more obvious. But I don't have a lot of faith that this is a thing that is really going to come to pass. And even if it does, there's so much of the country that's in my boat, which also has terrible internet access. That it doesn't matter if they make everybody label everything, because my options are to pay Comcast more for faster service or pay Comcast less for worse service. And those are my two choices. Right. So, and see how they both start the same. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing I wish was getting fixed. I know I'm probably the only person who's happy to go read the fine print to find out what the actual up speed looks like when they advertise you the gigabit plan. But I would still rather get to choose someone besides Comcast at my house for my internet. And right now that's not the case. And even if I could choose, I may be choosing between a minimum viable service that costs me $100 a month or $200 a month. And that's also not a very good choice to have. So I want there to be a better option. I'm glad they're going to put better labels on the one option that I have. But because for a lot of people, that's a step in the right direction. But I I haven't dug far enough in to find out exactly how this is going to get implemented, to find out whether or not this is a proposal that's in process, that's going to make people, that's going to make all of the ISPs drag their feet and do everything that they can to drag it out as long as possible so that they don't actually have to be accountable to anybody, or if it's going to actually be something good. And I would like for it to be something good, but I would like even better if I could pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrice, I know it's how bad is it in your area? I'm trying to find a good internet provider.
The cool thing is I can compare. So because I've been in Phoenix and I know exactly what you're all talking about. Like there was I think it was Cox. There was literally it's Cox or it's I don't know, carrier pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you get. It's kind of the same here. Like there's kind of no option. Like you can get the funny thing is here, you can get different ISPs, but the company that actually provides the cable behind it is the same. So you get the same sort. It might even sometimes you get worse customer support because it's like two companies now instead of one. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like there's no. It's the same problem here. Like there's no other options. Like you get what you get, and either you're happy with it or you're not. The only difference is it's not as expensive. Mm-hmm. Like it's like I pay, what was it? Like 60, I think I paid like $60 a month for 400 down.
It's not bad.
And I was paying about twice that in the US.
Yeah.
So that is the big difference. But I mean I hope this gets applied globally, because this is needed. Like the websites are completely confusing. Like the like as Kelly said, they advertise, oh, you're getting gigabits, and then like you get whatever 15 megabits. And it's not clear. The fees are not clear. I mean, if you can read the fine print and if you can read all the documents and if you read everything, you might eventually figure out what you're actually going to pay.
Yeah.
But they do not make it clear. And as far as I can see, this is a rule. At least on the FCC website, it says FCC requires broadband. It's not a proposal. It's not like it's a rule.
That's why I said the article does say FCC orders.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you were of course in the same boat with the Xfinity Comcast. You're limited as well, right?
I am. It's frustrating because I don't have viable options other than Comcast Xfinity. The upside is that at least around here, the service is good, and when there are problems, their ground techs are like really on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like a truck taking down the line.
Like a truck taking down the line. Yeah.
How do I know that?
How do we know that?
Yeah. Like you know that feeling when your whole place shudders as if a bomb went off and you hear this incredibly loud bang sound. That's what happens when a trash truck snags the suspended cable line that comes to your building and actually physically snaps the line. But okay, so anyhow, the important part is doing this with the labels. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's long overdue, and I'm so glad, without getting political here, that we once again have a pro-consumer FCC in the United States.
I think that's important because that's part of what is supposed to be kind of baked into their mission statement. So I'm glad to see it.
It's the purpose of the FCC. They're here to take care of the consumers. Yeah. And we didn't have that for a while. And now we're getting that back. And Patrice, I'm with you. This should be something that's done everywhere.
Worldwide.
And honestly, the only way I know what my service actually is and what I'm actually paying before seeing a bill and running my own speed tests, I have to call Xfinity every year and negotiate a new deal with them, which is absolutely insane that we have to do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But when I'm done doing that dance, they have very clearly told me, this is what the service costs. These are all the added on fees. So this is what your monthly total with taxes will be. Right. This is the upload speed and the download speed you will get. Mm-hmm. but it's crazy that I have to talk to someone on the phone to get that information clearly explained.
Now, do you have to tell them you're going to cancel in order to get them to actually give you any sort of deal? Because that's what I always have
up
to
on
do.
that.
Hi, I'm calling to cancel
anymore.
cable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I call and tell them, hey, my bill is going up. It's going up way too much. It costs too much. I need to talk to a retention specialist.
Which is the same thing.
You're figuring out the secret code.
Okay, you're right. I'm saying the same thing, but I'm using the words that they need to hear to know to immediately escalate me.
Yeah.
Usually I've complained.
In the FCC, in the FCC document, there's also an example how it's going to look like. It looks like the nutrition labels, like exactly like.
Okay.
It does,
which is great.
Yeah. I still wish that they were going to be doing more. Just because what I really, really want is I want internet service providers reclassified as a utility.
Yeah.
Because it's time and they claim they are a utility when it works in their favor. And the rest of the time they go, I don't know what you're talking about. We couldn't possibly be a utility. And I wish we could just get somebody to draw that line in the sand. Maybe this is a step toward that. I don't know. I'd like to think somebody has a bigger plan for making that happen. And we're going to kind of boil Comcast 1 degree at a time until that happens. You know, fingers crossed. I'm an optimist. I live in hope that they will eventually get boiled. But that's, I want for there to be more on that front, to be even more consumer friendly. So I would really like to think that that's what's going to happen.
Yep. And I've done stuff in the past on the show, talked about my internet experiences here. Luckily, I was able to get AT&T fiber that's now available in my area. I was on I've been on Comcast forever and ever, but fiber is pretty amazing to have the same up and download speeds and be consistent.
Lucky you.
The speeds have been great, so I've been using it nonstop here now, and the other nice thing is Comcast makes you pay extra if you want unlimited bandwidth, because you start getting emails. I already got it for our lake house that you've already used 75% of your bandwidth for this month, and I don't have to worry about that with AT&T. It's unlimited. But no, Comcast is still a viable option too. I mean, for many. I mean, it's easy. They don't have to deal with it. A lot of people, not unlike us, like to not have their own routers and modems. They just want to go with Comcast equipment. I've done that for my parents because I think that's just a smarter way for me not having to be doing all of their tech support whenever the internet goes down. So best that when it breaks, Comcast can go right into the gateway that they have and be able to support it. So one other thing to note about, I mentioned that there's a link in the show notes here, is the FCC also created this pretty amazing national broadband map, and for the U.S. All you have to do is put your address in there, and it'll show you what the available options are, and you also can send in a report to say if this isn't accurate or not. You can help them improve it. Interesting to look at the picture of the United States here on this site, and it's pretty white areas because most of the areas are blue. It's pretty white colored in the West. It seems is the worst as far as broadband goes, and it's like your area too. Kelly's a little light on that. You have a metro area, but you're going in more rural areas like in Utah and Nevada and in Arizona. In those areas, it's really bad. Yeah. So.
I mean, there's a whole lot of the West that is still aggressively rural, as Jeff can also attest, and the basic anything, cell service, that kind of stuff. That's part of why the emergency SOS thing was very exciting, because I frequently find myself in an area with zero reception. Yeah. And it's not hard to do. And it's not because I'm some sort of hardcore adventuring person. It's because I like to drive on a freeway between Portland and the Oregon coast. And there's about 40 miles of that where there's just nothing. So there you go.
Jeff, you have the last word on this.
Hooray for the FCC doing something for customers. Also, the link to the broadband map, when you look at it and you see the completely empty area that kind of zigzags up through New Mexico and Colorado, that's the Continental Divide.
Right.
Wait, and there's no internet there.
And there's no internet there. Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon either.
Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yep, absolutely. All right, then lastly, I just wanted to talk. It is Black Friday here in the United States as we record this, and I do have some links in the show notes. I'm not going to go over everything here, but I wanted to put some notable, and pretty amazing deals that are happening this week. A couple of them I liked is iMazing. We always talk about iMazing as a great application. Right now they have it 50% off. You can buy a license for
Holy
it.
Crap.
So it's down to like $24 if you want to get on there. So I've got a link in the show notes to go jump on that. I've talked about this before. This great artwork that's out there called Grid Studio that has framed teardowns of iPhones and other electronics. You can get the iPhone 4S. I think I'm tempted to put that on my Christmas list here. Hopefully the price will still stick, but it's $99, and it's a really cool. It's really well made. Chuck Joyner's done reviews of it. He talked to those folks before, so it's pretty awesome. The second gen Apple Pencil is $40 off right now on Amazon. You get it for $89. That's the best price I've ever seen for that.
That's the best price I've ever seen.
Yeah. So you got that, and then the Apple AirTags, the 4-pack is $20 off. That's the best price I've ever seen for that one too. $79.
Yeah,
the 4-pack.
That is a good price.
Yeah. And then the AirPods Pro 2 are down to $199 right now. Those are normally $249. So I know I'm trying to tempt Kelly a little bit there and try to. Do I really want AirPods? That might put you over the edge there.
Trying to tempt me into birthday money is what you're doing.
It might. I've
got some. I need to point at something.
I got to buy it ahead of time because who knows if the price will be by next year.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just had my birthday. I have birthday money to spend.
There you go.
I was going to
that. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go blow it in the Nintendo store, but
we got links to. I got links here to all kinds of stuff. And Mac Rumor's done some great reviews. I don't think any of you guys had anything of note that you've been interested in. Feel free to share. But I think
I haven't been even looking.
I think I covered a few good things.
There are
thank you for doing the shopping research for me.
Yeah. I haven't looked.
Yeah.
There are. Go ahead, Patrice.
No, I just wanted to say I got two things, but they're not tech and they're local. So, this Black Friday is global, and even local Austrian companies are doing it. I got a really good deal on some syrup for drinks.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh,
so
nice.
That's that. It's a local company.
Awesome.
And some, what else did I get? There was, I think some, a pair of glasses. So
there you go.
I needed that.
Yeah.
So that's it. Nothing techie, nothing very interesting.
Not everything can be techie. Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing I was going to point out is that Nomad Goods is having a sale. I love them, and so they've got some screaming deals. If you know somebody who's still rocking a 10S, I think the leather 10S case is like $5 from them right now. And I love Nomad. Hi, Chuck. So I do love them. They're not a sponsor. I have no official relationship with them. I just really like their stuff. And the Nintendo store has a lot of things, but also the reason I point that out is because the Nintendo, Switch games and that sort of thing, there's a bunch of those on deals. GameStop, I think, also has some deals on physical cartridges that you can put in your Nintendo. But the Steam store has some deals, and the game that I'm thinking of is the Jackbox Party Pack.
I just bought it
because we just had Thanksgiving. And it is a thing that I got half of my parents, because only half of them came. I only get half at a time. Half my parents, my mom and her husband were here with my in-laws, and I was able to successfully, minimal oversight, all of them were able to sit and play Jackbox games on the Apple TV with us. And if you buy it in the Steam store, you can have it on all your things. So there's a deal right now, I think, on the latest party pack, and they come with various combinations of games, but they're very easy to do. You have it up on the TV, however you prefer. And then each person on their phone enters a secret code and becomes part of the game. And then you play by doing things on your phone that show up on the TV for everyone to interact with. So it's super fun. And if you're going to be places for Christmas, which sometimes is a holiday where people are together for longer periods of time than Thanksgiving, then now is a really good time to pick up one of those and try it out and see which ones are the fun ones that you want to play with your family in a month.
I put that link in the show notes for the Jackbox Party Pack 8. You can't have more fun. We were just playing it yesterday and on Wednesday too. It was a lot of fun. So, but thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. But let's go ahead and wrap things up. The show has just come to a close here so quickly, and we had a lot of great things to talk about this week. And thank everybody here for being here. But that is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You also can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you are notified when we are live streaming, which is usually on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch and listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Mimir, and many others, Overcast. Go to our website, which is at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Patrice Brennamore, thank you so much for being here. It's always a thrill to have you on the show. Where can people find you?
It was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Where people can find you?
You can obviously find me every week on the British Tech Network on both the Mac Show and the Big Show with Dave and with Jeff. So if you're into the non-Apple stuff, the Big Show is always a fun ride. I can definitely recommend that. If you're looking for anything else about me, like all the social media links, my Mastodon account, like the podcast, the projects, like everything I'm doing, my website is on there. You can find on thepatrice.com. And if you want to listen to really cool people talk about food and food-related stories and memories, I have an interview show called Foodie Flashback at foodieflashback.com.
Thank you so much. Kelly, Gamet, so glad you were able to make it to the show. Thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
Well, for the next few days, you can find me under the sink trying to repair the leak we discovered yesterday morning. So that was fun. Otherwise,
perfect timing.
Yeah, great way to kick off Thanksgiving was to hear I was asleep. Mr. Kelly's in the kitchen and starts swearing loudly and hollering for me and then swearing loudly again. And I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong. And it's just that there's water everywhere. I'm like, I was asleep. There is no way I'm responsible for whatever you're yelling about. So yeah, that was, and we hosted yesterday. So, that was fun. So when I'm not apparently watching all the plumbing YouTubers, you can find me on Mastodon, where I am verso at mastodon.social. You can find me, if you can find anybody on Twitter, I'm there as well sometimes. I'm on micro.blog and Glass, which is one that I'm trying to promote more because the more I talk about it, the more time I will also hang out there. It's a photo first social site. So it doesn't track how many people like your photo or anything like that. You just post them and there's no words around any of the pictures. You just scroll through and get to see a bunch of nice stuff. It's really great. So you can find me there, and you can find me sometimes here with Dave. You can also occasionally on Tuesday evenings find me doing my best with my compatriot in the cause, Jeff Gamet, to completely distract Chuck Joyner on Mac Voices Live. And the rest of the time, when I have a website I'm not embarrassed to show off to people, I will give you the address.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you being here. And last but certainly not least, Jeff Gamet. Always great to have you. Please let everybody know where to find you.
Well, as always, it's great to be here. And what an awesome way to spend a Friday afternoon hanging out with all three of you.
Absolutely.
And recommend.
Yeah, when I'm not making Kelly's pipes leak, I am. Actually, that didn't sound the way I intended. Anyhow,
I think it sounded exactly the way you intended it.
We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, so you can find me most Tuesdays with basically everyone that's here on Mac Voices Live, and then Thursdays on the Big Show, and Fridays on the Mac Show, and then also on the Context Machine, because Brand Chaffin and I have teamed up again.
Great, thank you.
I didn't say any socials, did I?
You didn't.
Jay Gamet on basically everything. So, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The Mastodon instance I'm on is mastodon.social, and like all the others, Jay Gamet.
Well, thank you so much. I forgot to mention that I'm Twitter at DaveG65 and Mastodon on mastodon.cloud at DaveG65. And thank you for listening. We appreciate you joining us on the show this week. Had a lot of fun doing it, and we'll talk again soon.